In the shocking bloody case in Flushing, New York, the son-in-law stabbed his mother-in-law, stabbed his brother-in-law, and then set fire to it. How can the close relationship collapse? On the afternoon of October 2nd, a residential building in Flushing was suddenly assassinated and set on fire. When the police entered, the 50-year-old mother was stabbed in several places and died on the spot. 17-year-old boy was stabbed several times and was in stable condition after being sent to hospital. The suspect, a 27-year-old man, cut his wrist at the scene and was seriously injured and sent to hospital for care. A fire broke out on the first floor, and the fire controlled the fire around 4:30 in the evening. The police officers at the scene alternately advanced at the door and indoors and subdued the knife-wielding suspect with an electric stun gun. The dictation of neighbors and relatives unanimously points to family conflicts and out-of-control drinking. Some people say that the marriage is in trouble, while others say that the divorce has collapsed, and the Red Cross intervenes to assist family members in temporary resettlement. Before the video starts, let me say a word: like and subscribe to the small bell to support local in-depth content. In this issue, we only talk about facts and research, less keyboard trials, and focus on the timeline first. Let's write down the consistent ones, mark the differences, wait for the official finalization, and now enter the in-depth part. This kind of tragedy is classified as intimate partner violence and intimate relationship killing in academic circles. Simply put, it's not a stranger who commits a crime, but a fatal collapse in an acquaintance relationship. One of the research consensus is that the critical period of relationship rift is the high-risk window, especially 6 to 12 months before and after the discussion of separation and divorce. Violence has risen significantly for two reasons. First, you decide to leave after being injured, and the data naturally soars before leaving. Second, the so-called forced control causes a violent counterattack when it is out of control. The perpetrator regards his partner as an object of blackmail, not a reciprocal relationship. When the sense of control collapses, violence is used as a last resort. This is not an emotional lesson, but a power structure lesson. Looking at the gender dimension, the proportion of women killed by intimate partners has been significantly higher than that of men and women for a long time. In sexual murders, current or former partners account for more than half, and they often occur in residences. Male murders are more common in strangers and public scenes, and the proportion of fatal partners is very low. This is not who is inherently more violent, but the difference between social roles and control logic. The subtext that I have the final say in the family is often tied to shame, face, and possessiveness. When losing you is interpreted as me being denied, the hurt slides from the tip of the tongue to the blade. When the camera advances to the microscene of family control, you will see that intimidation, isolation, insult, economy, stuck neck, and using children as chips are not accidental emotions, but a wheel of power and control, followed by a cycle of violence. Tension, accumulation, outbreak, beating, honeymoon, apology, and sorry. The honeymoon period is not a secret letter returning to the nest, but a buffer zone for the next outbreak. Without the intervention of a third party, the cycle will only get shorter and stronger. What's worse is intergenerational replication. Children who grow up in such an environment are more likely to become victims in the future. I am a violent, so domestic violence is never a household matter, but a matter of public health and public security. Extending the camera to the national data, the proportion of intimate partner-related murders in the United States is not low. More than half of the female victims died at the hands of their partners. The locations of the crimes were mainly residences, and the murder weapons were mostly high IQ tools. During the epidemic stage, the proportion of victims in some groups increased. Violence is more hidden and harder to turn to. A cold consensus is that the golden moment of intervention is often the eve before the police contact with the law. That is, today you hear crying, and tomorrow it may be a supplementary complaint. When divorce has been put on the table, the desire to control is most likely to turn into fatal desire. Returning to the Flushing case, we observe that the verbal conflict leads to the chain of knife wounds and bedroom fire. This is not a single point of impulse, but a chain pull. With the rapid superposition of end behavior, the knife points to specific people, and I expand private violence into public risk. In the high-density shared housing pattern, black smoke is faster and more deadly than fire. The fact that the youth could escape was the only gap in this timeline that opened outward. This gap took away a life and left a family fault. Regarding motivation, let's restrain ourselves to say a few words. Divorce explains the argument, doesn't explain drinking, doesn't explain loss of control, doesn't explain arson. The real answer is often hidden in long-term control and shame, in those nights when forget it, don't make trouble, and the morning when outsiders don't laugh at it. What next, you ask? The suspect faces arraignment post-treatment, with bail unlikely. The prosecution plans to present evidence to the grand jury for further proceedings. High risks of sentencing arise due to the severe injuries of minors, family involvement, and interrupted living conditions. Legal protocols will span evidence handling, mental state assessments, and trial outcomes. The name of the deceased will be written on the first line of the death certificate and indictment, and the teenager's knife will slowly heal. The awakening of the night is not on the clock. No one dares to sit on the vacant chair at home in a short time. Every time neighbors pass by that door, they will take their steps lightly, spit more, and keep it. We always say that family dirty linen should not be publicized, but the result is that the strange thing becomes fire and scream. We like to see if we are sick as a master key, but a lot of violence is not a disease, but a choice of ideas and rights, and we also love to use it. In fact, people are not bad to whitewash violence. The problem is that knives and fire are bad. They don't talk about feelings. Statistical case predictions rely on behavior patterns rather than abstract ideas. Long-term control, threats, irresponsible behaviors, stalking, and financial strain signal red flags when three occur. The breakup phase amplifies risks, particularly with weapons and substance use. This structure underscores reporting and legal intervention as key steps in safety chains. Humor aside, urgency matters for prevention. Don't put the kitchen knife in the living room, don't use the mattress as an ashtray. After you laugh, you will find that this joke is not funny at all, because someone really thought I could burn shame and only put the whole building down as a death. Speak seriously and fall on attitude. May the deceased rest in peace and the injured children recover soon. May every relationship that is about to collapse, someone will press the brakes in time. I'm Little Blue Man, I'll see you next time. Everyone is welcome to subscribe and comment on this video.